I have been tripping down memory lane lately. I guess maybe it's part of the purging, but something interesting happened today. I realized how many times the universe stepped up for me in the last 10 years and handed me a miracle. If you don't know my story, I had 2 brain surgeries. I thought I was going back to work in 6 weeks, the typical recovery time. And then I woke up with my hand in a claw, needed to have a surgery on that. And my employer let me go because they couldn't wait for me any longer. I had to eventually accept I wasn't going to go back to work and went through the disability process. There were some snafus along the way. Without getting into details, my financial picture was grim at one point. I had already sold my antiques, my piano, anything of value. And there were some months that were iffy for me. As I was looking back at that today, I realized how many times it might have been worse than iffy. I went through a lot of change. I went through a lot that was scary. And as I was standing in the shower, I realized there was even a time that could have spelled absolute disaster for me because I missed some paperwork. And I think somehow the universe came up with what I needed for that agency, and all was well. I'll just tell you because it's a great story. I was interested in a rental house and contacted the company, and they said, "Oh yeah, we got your message, and thank goodness you left it when you did, because the next call we got was only 3 minutes later." I got that house, and I'd never sent that voicemail. I hadn't even seen the house listed until like 2 days after it was the weekend, and they got a voicemail from me. There were 2 or 3 other things. I understand finally now, today, that I actually was surrendering, but I didn't look at it like that. Because I remember one time I just sat and cried and told the universe, "Look, I don't know what else to do. I've done everything I can think of, and if not fucking everything up even worse, I'm not making things better. I need your help. But I'm just turning it over to you because I am at a loss about where to go now." That's surrender, I guess. And the reason I'm sharing all this is because on my twin flame journey, I am being asked to surrender all control and to accept. And it's been so difficult for me because, hey, I've been in my masculine energy most of my life. I had to be. And it's when I throw up my hands and say, "I give," that the universe steps in with literal miracles in a lot of cases that, like I say, I hadn't even recognized on one of them until today. And it was probably the biggest one, because my life would have been so much worse than what already felt like in the toilet if there hadn't been divine intervention. If the universe could provide those miracles for me in those 10 hard years of loss, why can't I surrender now and trust that the universe will bring me a divine union in a form that will be for my highest good, for his highest good, for the highest good, quite frankly, of others that we might encounter down the road. I think probably my failure to surrender has hung things up so long. And today was really, really helpful because I finally realized I have surrendered. And look, I had miracles plop in my lap. So if you are having trouble surrendering, you might just take an afternoon to tippy-toe down memory lane and look for times that the universe has brought you miracles. I think when we're just embroiled in what feels like tragedy, it's hard to recognize anything else. But it might be worthwhile, because finally I can see, I can trust. I could trust all along. It just wasn't second nature natural for me after my life. When you start to see those miracles, it's a little easier to trust that the universe isn't going to fuck you over. You can surrender.